Welcome to how to adjust the 3600 concealed vertical rod assembly from First Choice Building Products. First thing you'll have to do is remove the cover from the device, and then you're left with the traveler, and in this case it has a rack and pinion support bracket. Will all need to be removed to be able to get at the rods, to adjust the rods. So remove the pinion support bracket first. Then just unscrew bottom MM003 assembly. And you should be able to just lift off the device. Now from here, we're left with the top and bottom rods. This is the top rod to go through. You just kind of pull it out a little bit and remove the E-clip. Then remove the bushing. And then you can push the rod inside the door. So when you unscrew the screws going through the top rod, you can take it up. But when you're doing that, be very careful, because the top rod's inside the door, and if you remove both screws like this, the rod will fall all the way down into the door, and then you're going to have to try to fish it out. So when you're going through, remove one of the screws, then go through, and you're going through to pull it out, keep your hands on it so you can pull it up. Once you have this out, and if you want to make the top rod longer, if the rods are dropping and not tripping all the way when you go through, you make the top rod longer or thread out to go through. You might have to break this jam nut first. The jam nut's there for shipping. It is a 9/16 wrench to kind of put on there to break it. But remember, every turn you do to the top rod, to make the top rod either longer or shorter, you got to do the exact opposite. In this case, we're going to make the top rod longer, so this trip's a little bit easier to go through. And the bottom rods, you're going to want to go through and make the bottom rod 2 turns shorter so it doesn't drag, because if you make the top rod longer, that goes down, the bottom rod goes farther down, so you got to make it shorter to compensate, or vice versa, to go through. This is true if you're using a hex bottom to go through, or if you're using an RL bottom, which is a rim latch style device. The way you can tell the difference is the rim latch device has the holes. The rim latch, the holes for the device are vertical, and for the hex bottom, to be able to fit in the little hex guide, it will be horizontal. You can see the mounting holes here. On the bottom, it might be a little bit easier if you have the hex guide to be able to drop it down. The door, because here you don't have much room, but sometimes you can just take the 2 screws out of here, drop this down, put a wrench on the bottom hex, crank it loose, shorten up the thing, put this thing up, and put it back through. For the RL bottom, if you're flush floor, you got to pull the rods all the way up the door, or you got to try to open the door beyond where the concrete slab would be, and then drop it down about 6 inches to be able to drop this down to be able to spin this to then have it go back out, because the rods are not adjustable once they're inside the door, they're permanently set.